So I was watching people talk about the debt, but I didn't really hear them mention the debt ceiling. There used to be a debt ceiling. But a debt ceiling is basically an amount of debt that we wouldn't surpass. That by law it's actually impossible, or if you do pass it, it's only a momentary passing, right? We went from that to repealing that bill and then spending or printing, generating out of thin air $2 to $3 trillion at a time. Did that like 5, 6 times, as well as 5, 6 times, 7 times corporate bailouts, bank bailouts, not even corporate bailouts, and then there's the Wall Street bailouts, which are just fucking insane, by the way. There's those two, right? Then there's also the giving out of free money, quote unquote, during COVID. There's the shrinking of the economy due to the disappearance of businesses and the disappearance of job positions, as well as the increase in fiat currency in the entire market. But what was actually happening? Because everyone else is broke, right? So who's getting the money? Well, the people at the top. They're just doing these things to basically just funnel a bunch of money into their pockets. One of the things that they did is they partnered with, well, it was governments, bureaucracies, corporations, and the medical industry actually banded together to make a fuck ton of money by creating, quote unquote, COVID. Well documented, by the way. As well as the fact that COVID was a completely mild affliction. An affliction, by the way, but they're over here treating it like a terminal disease that, if you catch it, is so contagious that people will burst into flames and you'll explode. But what actually happens is either nothing happens or you just get a cold. I mean, it can turn out to be quite a quite a bit different from that in certain cases. But what I think is that whatever COVID was, there were actually quite a few variants, and that some variants were much more deadly than others, but they didn't affect most people. Why do I think that? It's not so much my opinion, but actually there was science done on this. Of course, I do not have the actual article. Well, I don't know if they even have articles or anything like that, but there were whistleblowers and such who talked about these things and were very quickly and swiftly silenced, and as well as a lot of this stuff being scrubbed from the internet. That aside, you can't deny the fact that COVID had a remarkable impact on the world's economy, especially the US, mostly because of their response to it. Most of the world did not do what the US did. There's reasons for why the US did what they did, and most of it is because Biden is and the administration, or just whatever kind of entity that they actually are, because it's not political, it's actually apolitical. It cares a lot about money, but what it cares about more than money is power and control. Well, by virtue of money, because it's the best way, and that's the best way to do it. Have money, you get the most power and the most control. Money doesn't determine how much control you have, but it can. It doesn't necessarily, but it can. Right? But what was I saying? So during COVID, a lot of just mom and pop shops, as well as restaurants and just anything that isn't a corporation or a chain, went out of business because of how COVID was handled. So a lot of people lost their jobs, as well as their businesses being completely destroyed without any sort of recourse or compensation or anything. So that also means that a bunch of jobs disappeared suddenly. Okay, so now the jobs that do exist are definitely not enough to account for the jobs lost, but it tried and failed miserably, and instead got it to a point where nobody makes enough, and the government and the corporations still are trying to just keep making more money, so they just do everything that they can, and it just screws everybody. And also during COVID, everyone was getting $1,200 checks. I didn't. And even if I was offered it, I wouldn't take it because I know what this thing does. But at the same time, it wouldn't make sense to not take it just because all that money was fake anyway. It wasn't real money. It was just a placebo. It's to buy some time, actually, for the American population, but more so the government. The worst part of this is that people were celebrating them spending $2 or $3 trillion at a time, not at all understanding the implications, as well as the administration itself either just being entirely negligent or doing it on purpose, or being actually that dumb to where they don't know that this is what happens when you do this. Not just because it's happened in history before, but Trump has said it before. The reason why people are coming over to his side is because they appreciate common sense and honesty, which is quite literally the opposite of anything that's going on in the left right now. Literally anything, including and especially its supporters, which, despite the fact that it's trying to appeal to the young voters, like the ones who, go to the club, the ones who do or have listened to Megan Thee Stallion, right? And who listen to rappers and stuff and hip hop and all that kind of shit. Instead, they're getting a bunch of fat old white ladies that, generally speaking, cannot comprehend English language. Certainly their reading comprehension is very low, but even whenever they speak, they don't have anything generally coherent to say. And if they do, it's lacking of any pertinent, if any, content at all. It's a joke, basically. It's a joke. And these people are either running to the polls on some bullshit or on race and gender. It's actually laughable. While the fucking country goes up in flames, half the fucking people just can't comprehend basic facts. Shit that they've lived through, right? They've seen socialism. They've seen, other countries do this sort of thing. Maybe they haven't. I don't know. Maybe they just have lived under a rock their entire 50, 60, 70 years. Right? I actually don't know at this point. It's so strange. It's so fucking strange. Like, just when you think it can't get any more ridiculous, it just does. It just does. Every single time. Like, every day, too. And it's been like this for like 15 years. It's actually insane. I don't know how that's even possible, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's fucking possible. I experienced it. Many other people have too. And a lot of people who weren't awake to the shit. I mean, generally speaking, it sucks that it has to get this bad for people to even start to acknowledge just basic facts. Which just goes to show how narcissistic people are, because all they give a fuck about is, we need a black president. Which is fucking stupid. It's just stupid. It's all stupid. But in their own imaginary world, that's what they're doing. And that's what's, but it's like, they're so narcissistic and so fucking dumb and so ill-informed that it's literally a complete detriment to the world, actually. The world is worse off because people like this are fucking moving in the way that they are, doing the shit that they're doing. It's actually ridiculous. And it's crazy because there's so many of them. And they're so dumb and so confident about their mental retardation. You can't even have a conversation with these fucking people. So it's like honestly, what can you even do? What can you even fucking do? You literally have to wait until it gets so fucking bad that they can't not see it because it's personally affecting them. And it's like, God damn it, bro. And when it gets to the point where it's affecting everybody like that, it's just GG. And that's where we're heading. And it's like, it's so dumb just watching this shit. Over 15, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, come on, bro. I'm just saying. Like, can we wake the fuck up already? Like, damn.